Hi, I'm Callie Lewis. You're watching Geek Brief TV. This is Brief 485. So, you want to see our first HD video shot with the Canon 5D Mark II? The first thing we shot was at an office complex, and you can see low light performance is excellent. You can also see that our stuff isn't nearly as good as the stuff we've seen shot by pros. Really, all we've got here is potential, but that's always an exciting thing to have. I had the opportunity to sneak the camera into one of the most secure data centers in the world. Underneath that data center is a vault originally owned by the Federal Reserve. It used to be filled with gold. Looking at the footage I shot, you can see that the camera isn't magic. It has a fantastic sensor, but it also requires good lenses, a good eye, and practice to get the kind of footage that influenced us to order one. That's not a bad thing at all because it makes me want to practice and learn to shoot better. The only bad part is that I also want to spend money on better lenses. As I improve, you can follow my progress at callie.smugmug.com. From what they told us, this is the first time that vault has ever been on camera. The big news while I was busy setting up the new studio and not quite finishing is that the dev team released an unlock for the iPhone 3G. I've been, surprise, surprise, happy with AT&T lately, so I wasn't really paying attention to the March to unlock day. The unlock is called Yellow Snow, gross, and it's in beta. It requires firmware version 2.2, and according to commenters on Engadget, it isn't working for everyone who tries it. I wouldn't recommend it, but if you want it, I have a link in the show notes for Brief 485. When Apple announced that 2009 would be its last year at Macworld in San Francisco and Steve Jobs wouldn't be delivering his annual keynote, we very nearly canceled our trip. After thinking about it, though, we remembered that Macworld isn't as much about what Apple does as it is about visiting with friends from around the world who love Apple. It's about the community.
It's really a very communal event here. This is kind of an analog complement to people who stay in touch digitally the rest of the year. They're used to making the pilgrimage to Mecca, so to speak, and they come to Macworld to meet with friends.
I think the thing that makes Macworld different is it sustains its crowd year after year. You can walk into the show and it's as busy the first hour as it is the last hour, and it never lets up. So it's a continually busy show.
Well, I think the Mac community is a special community. It's one that is knitted together by a lot of passion for the Mac and for all of the software and other products that have to do with the Mac. So it's a celebration. You sense that excitement in the air when people come to this truly once a year unique gathering.
Here at Macworld, there's plenty to see and plenty to do, but it's really, it's a tight-knit community, and it's a community that welcomes new people. It's a wonderful thing. The show runs during the day. There's all kinds of stuff happening at night. Everybody sees everybody. That's to me, it's a social show.
Last year, the big announcement was the MacBook Air. This year, predictions run the gamut from a new Mac Mini that matches the latest Apple color palette to a large tablet iPod Touch. I always stick with the same old prediction, new cinema displays, because it has to be accurate eventually. More people than I expected were surprised that it isn't Apple that orchestrates Macworld, it's IDG. And Wednesday night, January 7th, IDG will be holding a town hall meeting at the Moscone Center to involve Apple fans in shaping the future of an Apple-less Macworld. I plan to be there because I'd like Macworld to continue. I think Macworld could have a future that looks more like South by Southwest than CES. Think about all the musicians, artists, and filmmakers who use Macs to create. I say make Macworld about them. I'd love to see presentations about how people are using their Macs to do amazing things. I'm swinging into the new year at work easily with one last story, and it's a gadget we've never ever covered on Geek Brief, and I hope this switching granny isn't the only friend of the brief who thinks it's as cool as I do. Brother released a new sewing machine called the Quattro 6000D. Come on, sewing machine? I know I have your attention now. A lot of women watch Geek Brief, but when I drop the specs on this baby, methinks some guys are going to want to take up sewing. It has a 4.5 by 7 inch HD LCD screen and a camera aimed at the needle area so you can see exactly where you're poking the thread. It has count them, freaking 3 USB ports. My sewing machine doesn't even have one. It also has embroidery software that automates the process of turning an image to thread work. Pretty nice, and I wouldn't mind having one, although I'd be happier if Switching Granny had one. But I wonder if she would even want one. Probably one of you guys is a biker and you want one of these things. I'm Callie Lewis. This brief is brought to you by GoDaddy.com. When you use my promo codes GB1, GB2, or GB3 at checkout, it keeps us going, so thanks for that, and thanks for watching the brief.
Yeah, supposedly this is where they kept Jack Ruby after he shot Oswald.
Are you serious?
Supposedly in that room.